The best Wii U games show how many incredible experiences have come to the console. Featuring first-party and third-party titles, the console has also been home to some of Nintendo's most memorable exclusives, including an adventure starring Link that ranks among the best Zelda games of all time. In this video, you'll see how varied the Wii U library was, with LEGO-style adventures and even some racing offerings. So, join me in this video of the 30 best Wii U games. An unexpected, but warmly welcomed entry to the Wii U, Hyrule Warriors stole many players' hearts. Hyrule Warriors merged the worlds of The Legend of Zelda and Dynasty Warriors, creating a bizarre hack-and-slash Zelda experience. A standout feature of this game was its diverse cast, with many characters making their first playable debuts. Players would often have to face various challenges at each stage and have to prioritize certain areas or characters over others. Naturally, destroying hundreds of enemies resulted in some pretty satisfying moments, and players could even have their friends join the fun using the game's multiplayer mode. Unfortunately, the game did suffer from some relatively simple gameplay and could become quite repetitive due to its lack of depth. However, despite this, Hyrule Warriors remains an incredibly fun play and is still a standout title for the Wii U. The smash hit platform fighting game featuring beloved characters from different franchises has yet to disappoint, and the Wii U version continued that streak. With 58 total playable characters ranging from Mario to Pac-Man, Super Smash Bros. Wii U tops it all off with tight controls and more balanced gameplay. Super Smash Bros. Wii U also introduced amiibo integration, which is a novel idea but something of a divisive topic for fans of the series. Armored Edition Wii U. Batman Arkham City Armored Edition may not be the definitive version of the game, but, aside from some frame rate issues, the incorporation of gamepad controls felt totally natural, and the opportunity to don the Dark Knight's cowl and cape in one of the best Batman games ever was a considerable boon for Wii U owners. With a relatively lengthy campaign, loads of extra content, and the opportunity to give Batman's gallery of rogues a sound thrashing, this was the Batman game to play on Wii U, a console which boasts no fewer than 5 flavors of the Caped Crusader, counting the LEGO ones, Arkham Origins, and Blackgate Deluxe Edition. Nintendo Land was one of the most charming installments on the Wii U and is sadly very underrated. Nintendo Land featured a collection of mini-games that focused on using Mii's and the Wii U gamepad. These games would often revolve around asymmetric gameplay, where one player would use the gamepad while the others use Wii remotes. Many of the mini-games available were inspired by some of Nintendo's most well-known franchises, including Animal Crossing and The Legend of Zelda. Thanks to the game's unique blend of gameplay, Nintendo Land remains one of the best demonstrations of the Wii U gamepad's capabilities. Twilight Princess was simultaneously Zelda's swan song on the GameCube and its introduction on the Wii. It's an excellent action-adventure, but not without flaws. Perhaps its biggest problem is that it did little to shake up the Zelda formula, which was feeling a little tired at this point. It plays a bit too similarly to Ocarina of Time and Wind Waker. The HD version on Wii U restored the GameCube's orientation, putting Kakariko Village back on the side of the map it should be, while retaining the Wii version's 16:9 aspect ratio and adding a host of minor improvements along with high-definition visuals. It is inarguably the best version of the game. Midna is an all-time great companion, and Twilight Princess hits some brilliant highs, though perhaps not as consistently as some other entries. Released in 2014 and bringing everything fans love from previous entries, Mario Kart 8 is another Wii U essential. Featuring revamped graphics, challenging racetracks, and the chaotic fun that the Mario Kart series is known for, the 8th installment hits all the sharp twists and turns perfectly. While veteran players might find the lack of innovation disappointing, Mario Kart 8 still holds the lead in the photo finish among the other kart racing games. Splatoon was Nintendo's first entry into this unique team-based shooter franchise. Players had to claim their territory using colorful ink in the game, which offered a fun, fresh take on territory control gameplay. Surprisingly, the game offered players plenty of game modes and maps to try out, as well as a mechanically rich shooter experience. Splatoon's core mechanic, which allowed players to switch between humanoid and squid forms and gave movement and combat much more strategic depth, was what really made it shine. Splatoon was so successful that it would go on to receive numerous subsequent entries. Yacht Club games score a hit with Shovel Knight across all platforms, Nintendo or not. With brilliant game design, charming presentation that tapped into everyone's 8-bit nostalgia before it was done to death, and a ton of post-release content which added a bewildering amount of new stuff to the base game. This was a wonderful first title from the fledgling developer and proved that Kickstarter successes were indeed possible, if done right. While generally considered the black sheep of the series, overlooking what Xenoblade Chronicles X brings to the table is a disservice to yourself. As the second entry, Xenoblade Chronicle X leaned heavily towards the open-world mechanic that the first one touched upon. It also had a grittier storyline and a deep gameplay mechanic filled with various systems to tinker with. That said, its strong points also appear to be a detriment for some, as criticism usually revolves around it being more of a Western-style RPG than a traditional JRPG. Still, looking past that minor grievance, what you have is a solid science fiction RPG with an impressive and sprawling world to explore. Mario Maker allowed players to create, share, and play their very own Mario levels. This game proved to be one of the more experimental Mario games but captured the hearts of many players quickly. Super Mario Maker was the source of hilarious rage for many players, as plenty of player levels were created to be as evil as possible. Players could switch between different visual styles in the game, from traditional 2D pixel Mario to a more modern, 3D 2D hybrid approach, thanks to its incredibly detailed level editor. Retro Studios demonstrated once again that it can take a treasured Nintendo franchise and keep it relevant, with modern thrills and retro nods expertly combined. Donkey Kong Country: Tropical Freeze utilized the Wii U's graphical capabilities beautifully, with levels both stunning in design and looks, and impressive set pieces that never skip a frame and can test any gamer's skills. Small touches and masterful contributions, such as the music of David Wise, only add to the experience. As a single-player experience it is near flawless, but the precision of the level design can lead the often fun multiplayer into moments of chaos. Excellent Wii U title that would inevitably be recruited for another tour of duty on Switch. It was a demonstration of how skillful developers and powerful hardware can be combined for spectacular results. The game introduced a whole generation of players to the concept of grinding and probably added to it, too. 3 Ultimate was released for the Wii U and 3DS in 2013 and is the definitive version of Monster Hunter Tri, released in 2011. Ultimate features more content and adds a multiplayer mode as well. Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate is also a good introduction to the series with a significantly more accessible mechanic. While having fewer monsters and general content than previous entries can be viewed as a downgrade, the more compact presentation can help ease new players into this series. Axiom Verge is a side-scrolling Metroidvania game that was released on multiple platforms but gained its highest overall Metascore on the Wii U. Players take on the role of Trace who, after sustaining a serious injury, wakes up in a strange and technological world. Axiom Verge was created by indie developer Thomas Happ and was praised for its originality and beautiful art. It's a brilliant crossover between new mechanics and classic Metroid games that culminates in an eloquent nostalgia and highly engaging story. There are plenty of items to keep the game interesting, and it emphasizes exploration as well as returning to previously visited areas to progress. Critics found little to complain about and thought it utilized the Wii U's abilities well. The original Wii U Super Mario Maker, with its multiple updates, additions, and tweaks over time, was a game which arguably justified the Wii U gamepad on its own, enabling you to craft levels in the style of the original game, Super Mario Bros. 3, Super Mario World, and the new series. The elegant user interface and overall polish made this an exceptional Mario experience, one that was tailored perfectly to the second screen of the Wii U gamepad. It was the system's true killer app, but it simply arrived too late in the lifecycle to make a difference. Super Mario Maker 2 might have added slopes and other fun doohickeys on Switch, but the sequel stands on the shoulders of the original, and base course creation experience is arguably still at its most intuitive on the Wii U gamepad. Bafflingly backward, Nintendo-like solutions for online sharing aside, if you've ever enjoyed a 2D Mario game and have a creative, playful spirit, then the original Mario Maker deserves your attention, even if you can't share your creations online anymore. Skylanders Swap Force is the third main video game installment in the Skylanders franchise. It's a platformer that crosses over with real-life figures to create a cast of familiar characters for any Skylanders fans. The game was thought to be very forward-thinking in terms of its use of physical figures as active in-game content. It added new mechanics to the gameplay, like being able to swap the characters around physically, and built well upon their previous games to create a fun new experience. In this HD remaster, Nintendo did a valiant job of breathing new life into what was already an exceptional Legend of Zelda title. It took the game's timeless art style and gave it a glorious new HD sheen, while also making an extensive amount of worthwhile improvements to previously flawed aspects of the gameplay. Sailing across the Great Sea, discovering new islands, and exploring exciting dungeons, the designs of which still shine even today, has simply never been as much fun as it is on Wii U. It's fair to say that Nintendo could have done more in certain areas. There really isn't anything substantial in the way of new content, and the updated lighting, though lovely in its own right, is not necessarily better. It's heavy on the bloom compared to the sublime original. Still, The Wind Waker was never in need of a drastic overhaul. This refinement made welcome tweaks that brought it more in line with modern standards. A great game made, for the most part, even greater than. Guacamole is a Metroidvania platformer and brawler with Lookador-inspired characters and art. Like most Metroidvanias, players explore a non-linear, platforming world to complete missions, fight their way through the world, and unlock new abilities. Players assume the role of Juan, who is on a quest to save his beloved Lupita from the evil Carlos Calica. Guacamelee was celebrated for its creative identity and ability to adapt mechanics from classic games and combine them with its own style. It's often thought to be one of the best titles that was released for the Wii U. Guacamelee is also praised for its humor and good-natured fun. There are technical cracks in its brickwork, but in combining the familiar constructs of the LEGO video games with an original story, plus huge amounts of humor and a ridiculous number of things to collect or discover, LEGO City Undercover proves that LEGO titles can be blockbusters without a big license. This one eventually came to Switch, although we've got a soft spot for the Wii U original version and its gamepad integration. A relatively new member of the Nintendo family, Pikmin quickly became one of the company's MVPs after its smash hit success with the Wii. The Wii U gets the third entry in the puzzle strategy series, and as is the case with Nintendo, it makes it accessible even if you didn't play the previous entries without alienating veteran players. Pikmin 3 is a full-blooded strategy puzzle game with a relatively fair learning curve. Taking what worked with the previous two entries and pushing it further cements Pikmin 3's spot as a modern puzzle game classic. Shantae and the Pirate's Curse was a triumph for WayForward and a treat for gamers. Very minor issues aside, this is one of the strongest titles on Nintendo's eShop, Wii U, 3DS, or Switch, although we're partial to the home console versions thanks to the larger canvas of the TV and increased definition for the 2D sprite work, not to mention the incredible character art. The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker HD is a re-release of the 2003 game that served as a delightful reimagining of the original while maintaining its charm with its captivating story and unique cel-shaded art style. The game was a standout thanks to plenty of its features. It sported many charming characters and memorable dungeons that provided players with an ever-increasing challenge. The HD re-release also came along with some features unique to the Wii U, such as the second-screen inventory management system, hero mode for those looking for an increased challenge, and improved camera controls. A fantastic quality-of-life feature that was added was the Swift Sail, which also gave players a much faster option for moving around. The developers took what was great about the original and worked on any complaints fans had to make the game a highly recommendable adventure that still stands the test of time today. Batman: Arkham Origins isn't innately bad, but it recycles so much from its predecessors and does absolutely nothing to evolve or improve them. The gameplay is uninspired, the graphics are a bit shaky, and the plot tries to do too much and ends up being too sloppy to make any real sense. The previous two Arkham games played like excellent stealth adventure titles in which you happen to take on the role of Batman. This one feels much more like a Batman game with stealth elements tacked on. It's far from awful, and taken in isolation it's rather enjoyable, but it's a shame that the Wii U received this lackluster and unremarkable entry in the Arkham series over, say, the original Arkham Asylum. The amazing insanity that is the Bayonetta series by Devil May Cry creator Hideki Kamiya may have debuted for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, but its sequels were firmly Team Nintendo. The Wii U received the exclusives for the second entry of this fan-favorite character action game, and Bayonetta 2 delivered everything expected and more. Platinum Games' decision to release Bayonetta 2 as a Wii U exclusive understandably faced backlash from fans, but this exclusivity is inevitable since Nintendo swooped up the license from Sega. If you are a fan of Devil May Cry, Bayonetta 2 for the Wii U is an instant must-have addition. Another great addition to the roster of the console with no games, Tekken Tag Tournament 2 launched alongside Wii U and threw exclusive Nintendo costumes and power-ups into its quality fighting mix, plus DLC content from other platforms, too. This entry in Namco's franchise had already cemented itself as a quality participant contender in the genre, but add in the Wii U exclusive modes, bells, and whistles and you're left with perhaps the best console version of a fine fighter. Rayman Legends is a 2D platformer game and the fifth installment in the Rayman franchise. Rayman, Globox, and the Teensies band together once more to take down the magician and save the day. 4 players can join the game and participate in over 100 levels, including some remastered ones from Rayman Origins. The game was hailed as an utter success by critics, with many claiming it was one of the best 2D platformers ever made, easily topping the likes of Mario and Sonic. The world of Rayman Legends was applauded for its vivid and colorful design that is effortlessly playable and smoothly integrated with the Wii U controls. It's an unarguably charming game brimming with content and heart, making it difficult for anybody to criticize. Metacritic calls it one of the Wii U's must-plays, and almost all critic reviews on the site name it as the best of the best in Wii U's gaming catalog. Need for Speed Most Wanted U, a stunning port that went above and beyond in terms of tailoring a multi-platform title specifically for Nintendo's hardware and its feature set. Criterion's game is fast, fun, and absolutely beautiful, with an open-world design that creates a real feeling of freedom to go with the sense of speed, but it's the graphical upgrades and gamepad-specific features that made this the definitive console version at the time. It's one of the finest open-world racers we've ever played, the perfect example of a Nintendo port done right. Most Wanted, indeed. As a launch title for the Wii U, New Super Mario Bros. U delivered by turning the clock back and returning to the classic Super Mario 2D platforming experience. What this game lacked in innovation and new ideas, it more than made up for in tight platforming gameplay. In addition, you can bring 3 more friends into the fold, which will considerably change the pace of the game from rudimentary chill to full-on pandemonium. If you have a Wii U, the New Super Mario Bros. U is a must-have for your library. Another game that has since come to Switch, Resident Evil Revelations began life on 3DS before coming to Wii U in HD form. This title delivers the trademark franchise experience with moody environments, scares, action set pieces, and silly, campy storytelling in one enjoyable package. Raid mode was a fantastic extra, adding hours and hours of value as you can brainlessly gun down creatures with a stranger, leveling up as you go. Visually and mechanically, the game was designed for 3DS, but this version, and the ports on subsequent consoles, held up well. More importantly, this spin-off from the mainline series demonstrated that bombast and eye-watering budgets aren't the secrets to capturing the essence of survival horror and helped steer the RE ship back on course after the perilous waters of Resident Evil 6. By providing a delightful blend of innovation and familiarity, Super Mario 3D World defied many expectations. Each of the levels was diverse and inventive and evolved in ways so that the game never became stale. New ideas would be brought into levels for just the right amount of time and removed before they became stale. The game's spirit of exploration is comparable to that of the Super Mario Galaxy games, while still bringing its own distinct identity. The single-player experience was initially a little tame, but eventually ramps up the challenge, offering tough levels reminiscent of the franchise's roots. However, the game truly shines in multiplayer mode. Super Mario 3D World offered competitive yet cooperative gameplay and often resulted in many hilarious and memorable moments. The game was made more interesting and strategic by each character's special abilities, as well as by the brand new, iconic cat power-up. Overall, Super Mario 3D World offered Wii U players a ton of replayability, whether they were playing alone or with friends. Yes, back when EA gave the impression of genuinely caring about Nintendo platforms, well, kinda, Mass Effect 3 was ported to Wii U. Starting with the third game in a series may not make much sense, with Me Too arguably being the pinnacle of the series, but it was a quality port from a BioWare series that excelled, at the time, in delivering complex storytelling with engaging gameplay. The ending might have rubbed some people the wrong way, but experiencing the beautiful Mass Effect universe on a Nintendo console was a treat that we've missed in the years since. Many gamers will be unaware that Breath of the Wild was ever released on the Wii U, especially since it became such a monumental hit on the Switch. The game was released in bundles with the launch of the Nintendo Switch, leading many to mistakenly assume that it is the only platform it's available on. However, Breath of the Wild has a Metascore of 96, which is only one less than the Switch version. This open-world action-adventure is thought to be the culmination of all Nintendo's Zelda titles and is now cited as an absolute masterclass in open-world gaming. Unlike almost any Zelda game prior, Breath of the Wild is a meticulously crafted and deeply detailed game with beautiful, vast areas to explore with zany, charming NPCs around every corner. The game is packed full of side quests and collection missions, coupled with an emotional and endearing narrative. Never have Zelda and Link been afforded such characterization and definitive stories, easily making the title an absolute must for Zelda fans. Pokémon Tournament attempted to break into the fighting game genre with a bang, although it remains relatively niche. It stripped back unnecessary complexity from the controls, which made it easy to pick up and play, but with a skill ceiling that left hardcore fans with plenty of room to explore. The visuals could have been sharper, something that's also true for the only slightly improved DX port on Switch, but these are grotesquely outweighed by the sheer polish and replayability of the core gameplay. As a love child of such disparate properties as Tekken and Pokémon, Pokémon Tournament was a spectacularly scrappy surprise. So, did you like the games I recommended? So leave your like, subscribe to the channel to follow me and activate the bell because I post a lot of videos on this channel and you can't miss it. I would like to remind you that in the description we have a list of different products that can make your gaming experience much better. If you want to buy, the link will be in the description. Anyway, thank you very much for following me this far and until next time, bye.